All right, let's dive right in. We're heading into a mythical war, a full-blown battle of philosophies, and it's all brewing in the crater of Mount Vesuvius itself. This is the story of Donar's Forge, and believe me, it all kicks off with one single, absolutely crucial question. So, think about this for a second. What if the opposite of stop isn't go? Now, this isn't just some clever riddle, it's the philosophical puzzle at the very heart of the conflict we're about to witness. It changes everything.
You see, the stakes here aren't just winning or losing. We're talking about two completely different kinds of oblivion. On one side, you've got a world frozen solid by apathy, total, absolute stillness. And on the other, a world just burned out, completely consumed by uncontrolled chaos. Two equally terrible fates, and our story is happening right in the razor-thin space between them.
So, let's meet our main player, the one standing against both of these apocalyptic outcomes. High up in the crater of Vesuvius, we find Donar, the sovereign heaven stormer. His mission is taking place in, well, a literal forge atop a volcano. You can't get much more epic than that.
Now, to really get Donar, you have to understand the philosophy that drives him. It's called the Enoch-Faustian spirit, and the core idea is pretty simple but powerful. You don't pray to gods for help. You don't owe them anything. You shape reality through the raw, inherent power of your own will. It is self-determination pushed to its absolute limit.
So how's he going to do it? Well, this isn't about just smashing things randomly. No, this is a precise, powerful ritual. First, Donar sinks his hammer, the legendary Mjolnir, with the very heartbeat of the city of Naples far below. Each strike is perfectly timed, acting as a thermal catalyst. The goal? To generate a very specific energy, violet gamma radiation, that's needed to melt the world that's been frozen into stagnation. But like I said, he is not alone on this volcano. Our first antagonist, our first threat, begins to emerge. It's the threat of stillness, and it manifests as something called the Great Feast. And this is not your typical monster. The attack comes from Atman Null, which, get this, is a spectral poodle. But it doesn't eat flesh and bone. No, it consumes purpose, what the story calls telos. As its misty influence rolls over the city, it enforces this silence of the clot, trying to create a silent tomb of pure apathy where nothing matters and absolutely nothing moves.
The philosophy behind this creeping doom is embodied by its guardian, a figure known as the Pale Cynic, and his argument is chillingly simple. The only escape from suffering is the cessation of movement, absolute stillness. He's actively fighting for that frozen, silent oblivion we talked about.
So, just as you think you understand the battlefield, motion versus stillness, Donar versus the Cynic, everything gets thrown into chaos because Wotan's court arrives, and they aren't here to help either side. They represent a third, wild, chaotic force. First up from this new crew is the Soothsayer. He embodies the burning circle, which is basically the idea of radical, out-of-control acceleration. He doesn't want to stop the world. He wants to spin it so insanely fast that it just burns itself out completely.
And right alongside him is Mephistopheles, who's been transformed into the god of corrosion. His goal isn't to burn things out, but to make them rot from the inside, to dissolve the very foundations of reality with a kind of corrosive doubt.
You see, their attack isn't just on Donar, it's an attack on reality itself. While Donar is trying to carefully time his hammer strikes to a heartbeat, the Soothsayer is grabbing time and spinning it into a fiery loop, threatening to cause a heat death that burns everything out in a flash. And at the exact same time, Mephistopheles is just rotting a very ground Donar is standing on, dissolving the physical and even the conceptual battlefield.
And this, right here, this is the crucial turning point. The conflict is no longer a simple duel. With Wotan's court on the scene, it has exploded into a war on three fronts. It's a total strategic nightmare.
Okay, this table really lays out the whole war for us. It's fantastic. You've got three factions, right? Each with a totally different vision for the world. The Cynic wants stagnation, using apathy to create a silent, dead world. Wotan's court? They want chaotic acceleration, using fire and rot to achieve total collapse. And then, caught right in the middle, is Donar. He's not trying to stop or accelerate, he's aiming for a purposeful flow through a precise, sovereign synthesis. Three ideologies, three methods, and three different ways the world could end.
So you can see the impossible choice Donar is facing. If he fails to act, the world freezes into silent apathy. That's the stop. But if he's overwhelmed by this new chaotic force, the world burns out or rots into total annihilation. That's the burn/rot. What do you even do?
So, how could he possibly win this? It's clear he can't just overpower either side.
He has to find a third way. And the solution, guided by a figure called the Red Architect, is something called the synthesis shockwave.
And here is the key, the absolute genius of the whole plan. The answer isn't more brute force. It's not about hitting harder. It's about a single, precise act of will, executed at the perfect, impossible moment, threading the needle between total stillness and total chaos.
This single climatic strike achieves a dual victory. The shockwave is just hot enough to melt the cynic's frozen world, which defeats the passive nihilism of stillness. But at the same time, it imposes a new logic on the battlefield, taming the active nihilism of Wotan's court without having to completely destroy it. One move, two checkmates. Which brings us to this incredibly powerful final metaphor for that one hammer strike. It is the lightning that justifies the cloud. Think about that. It's an active sovereign will that doesn't deny the stormy, chaotic nature of existence, that's the cloud, but instead gives it direction, meaning, and a flash of purpose.
And that really leaves us with this final question to chew on. This whole insane conflict seems to suggest that existence was never meant to be still or peaceful. It has to flow, it has to suffer, it has to burn. So the real question then isn't how to stop it, but what is it that gives all that fire a purpose?